I don't know if you noticed, but it feels like the property management world has changed recently. And by that, I really mean the feels like it changed. Technology has been where it is, it's doing all these things, but everybody has now officially accepted this idea that agents are out there. Everybody has now officially accepted that SEO and search has changed. And now even the people that were the biggest detractors of it are posting about it and the benefits of it. So what do we make of this? I wanted to sit down with Lacy Hendricks, who was on the tip of this. She's a tinkerer in like all tech things. She has a clearly digital, her and Alex Whiteoff started the first ever AI search agency for property management as well, and a good friend where I was at her office a year ago and we were just kind of getting started with this conversation. So I got to visit her in San Antonio last week, catch up on this, talk about this shift and what it really means for the industry from somebody who's a super connector, a tinkerer, a tech enthusiast, a property manager, all the things on top of a really, really good friend and a great hang. Enjoy this conversation with Lacy Hendricks. Welcome to the Property Management Framebreakers podcast. I'm your host, Pablo Gonzalez, and I am here to introduce you to the folks in the property management space that have broken the frame of what you may believe was possible. This podcast is presented by Vendoroo. It is your all-in-one AI solution for resolving your maintenance needs. Let's go. We're back.
We're back.
We're back. This is a year since I've been here. I feel like a year ago, the world was different.
It was. It's changed a lot.
Changed a lot. I was just like coming into this space and you were a new friend. Just opening doors for me, which I'm extremely grateful for, as you know. And now I'm here and I just spoke at South by Southwest. No big deal.
No big deal. Just spoke at South by Southwest like you're like some fancy pants.
My pants were from Old Navy when I spoke, so
Yeah.
not that fancy.
Were you wearing your dill pickle socks?
I was.
Yes.
I did, legit. Yeah, I have them in my...
awesome.
Yeah, I'll show them to you. They're dirty.
I believe you.
Because I'm kind of a big deal. So I was just kind of telling you, right? We're in a categorical inflection point in the property management market when it comes to AI, and I've got my own ways of describing it. What are from your perspective, like, do you feel that? Does it feel like all of a sudden it's tipped in a certain direction, or is it kind of like business as usual for you and I'm just like way too top down on it?
I'm personally know that I'm ahead of the curve.
You are.
I think it's taken a long time for people to realize how easy it is. The tools are rather intimidating if you don't know how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
But the best part about it is it will literally tell you how to use it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this last month or so, I really feel like there's been a shift within, not just within the property management space, but I see it across all industries, that people are really, really starting to lean more heavily on AI. Maybe because it's become simpler to prompt the tools to get it to do what you want it to. And they're seeing the power that it has behind it. And it's been really intense. Like, I opened my LinkedIn and it's just like, God! Like, the whole thing should just turn orange.
Yeah. You know, to me, it's a couple of things working in concert, right? It's this whole, we've talked about Moore's Law and how like technology doubles in power every 2 years, and now in like AI law, it doubles in power every 6 months. And
but it really has been like 2 years since people started using ChatGPT commercially. Like, not necessarily commercially, but I feel like ChatGPT picked up about 2 years ago. Yeah. And now there's a better tool now, in my opinion.
Well, not just that. ChatGPT is 1,000 times better than it was. Right? Yeah. Like if you think about it, if it opened up commercially 2 years ago and it doubles in power every 6 months, it has gotten twice as good. Then it got
4 times?
Then it got 8 times as good, right? Then it got 16 times as good, right? And now it's 32 times as good, right? So like in just 2 years.
Yeah.
Just ChatGPT. And I think OpenClaw was a big kind of like transformative time, like in the space, and that now has even the biggest deniers of AI that a year ago were saying it's all overhyped and blah 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 are now like, whoa, okay, it's changing the game and new to the conversation. And I think from my purview, right, like as someone that's been sitting there behind the scenes, seeing it at a, I don't want to call it like amateur and professional level implementation, but let's just say a part of your role, part of the things that you do, level implementation, and as a full-time, this is all that you do, level of implementation, with finding the best people in the world doing it and then putting them in the room together and doing that versus like people that are like you, like you're an early adopter, you're a pioneer in it. It's almost like a peek into, right, like the stuff that we were doing a year ago is now the stuff that people are starting to like understand how to do some because the tool has become customer grade, and it gives me some like really good breadcrumbs, right? Like one of the most, it's funny, I was talking to Mark Brower 2 days ago, and he was like, "Yo, man, I keep hearing a rumor about you guys that like you were a call center. Is that true?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah. We were, like we started off as a outsourced maintenance service where we had RTMs just like everybody else, but like full-time RTMs and maintenance that were leading with like human judgment and making human decisions, but training an AI with all of it and like going back and forth with an AI to then a certain point where the AI was now making the judgment and the humans were implementing it because the AI got good enough to a moment that was probably halfway into like 2025 where the AI now was able to drive the bus, right? Like was able to like make the judgment and implement the decisions. And we had a moment at our leadership retreat, kind of like end of summer last year, where the question was, now what do we do with our team? Right? Like this is what people are going to go through.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So like we're a year ahead of that, right? Like
Yeah.
and the reality of it was for us was okay, now we had all these like we used to call them EMCs, expert maintenance coordinators. Then we started calling them AICs, AI, coordinators. And now they're basically AI coaches.
So like when I'm using Claude and I'm building a tool,
Yeah.
I have these sub agents that go in behind it and are testing it and making sure that everything is lined up and
AI agents.
Yes,
Correct.
working how it's supposed to be working. So essentially you all went from having your human employees aided by AI and then you switched it around to where
AI
the
aided by
humans were
human.
basically the sub agents.
Yep.
And now
Now there's an agent, sub agent, and then there's also another human layer, right?
Okay.
Like what you're going to see, what everybody's going to start to feel is that, now that it's easy, anybody can like go and automate like 50, 65% of like whatever you're doing. Getting to these like really, really high levels of automation will always require a certain level of like extra context that wasn't there before, right? Like AI is by nature backwards looking. Right. So anytime like a new thing comes through, it's going to be like the term in the industry is called the human in the loop, right? Like we say human in the loop all the time at Vendoroo, but I don't think people understand what that is, right? Like it's just like where the human judgment reinforces the AI judgment, which is already like 3 judgments deep. That is where the edges live, right? So like this idea of, will it go from a moment when the AI is like prompting you for like a bajillion decisions all the time, and like getting over that piece, like it can either be someone on your team or it can be someone somewhere else, but that is always how AI has been trained, right? Like the CAPTCHA, like that whole thing is really us training Google's AI to like recognize images more nuanced, right? Like they're talking about, if you read this book, it's called like The Empire of AI. Like they have these just like Nike, I don't know if it was Nike, right? But like, I do know that Nike outsource like children in like Asia to like build their shoes or whatever. There's these big like farms of people in Africa continually like training the models for the open AIs, and all of that stuff, right? So it's like understanding the frontier is always going to be at like that human and technological judgment inflection point, right? And back to the kind of like the thing, it's like, so when once we had like this team of 50 that went from being like the people driving the bus to now the people judging, it was, do you let people go or do you redesign work? Right? Which is what we're all gonna face.
Right.
Right? For us, the answer was very clear of like, no, actually these 50 people can now, continually be that like that edge case scenario, the human coaches that help the property manager transition through. And I just don't think, I think this is the thing that people aren't really seeing, is that no matter whether you're building it yourself or you're using a, professionally built kind of like tool, AI agent, or it's, given from your PMS, right? Like everybody's going to go through those moments. It's kind of like what you just told me of, like, as you're building Clearly Digital, you're hiring this coach because you just, instead of just going forth into like the nether, like you want someone to like bounce things off of, right? Like I think that the adoption of this internally is going to be such a human related issue that it's that layer of support by humans that have been through it that will make the difference of, like, are you really going to be able to implement this and it be an incremental kind of like, it's kind of like software just got better, or are you really kind of like redesigning work and understanding what that means and then like reallocating assets because you have something that can truly own, human KPIs that you now know how to transition. It's gonna be a wall people reach.
What do you think this is going to do to like education requirements for these new roles that companies are going to have, since they're no longer just like customer service based roles? They're actually highly technical. It sounds like it will be a highly technical role.
I don't know, man. So it's funny being at South by Southwest and talking to like the head of like software development for AWS. Right, like I'm on a panel with her. The technical people are the ones getting really taken out. Like I think the technical stuff is what the technology is going to be able to do really well. I think it's the opposite. I think your highly customer service role, like I think what you're saying is we're equating a highly customer service role with like someone that provides updates and moves things along and can take like messages and can follow up with people. The customer service role, like the technical stuff, is going to be embedded into the brain of the AI. The customer service role, the human role, is going to be like that judgment layer of, should we not just cover this for them right now because they just had like 4 maintenance things happen, right?
But it's not going to be entry level. That it'll be like somebody who's trained in escalations.
100%. Escalation training and escalation management is the new role. Like that's what our humans do now. Our humans are now really trained on like that nuance of what is an escalation that's worth a conversation, what's an escalation of just getting it done, and then what is an escalation that's worth, hey, let's go like powwow, have a meeting for 3 hours, and then go talk to someone about it. Right? Like that's a real thing, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, not sure if you caught that, but the technology is no longer the trick here, right? Like everybody can build their own AI agent. Anybody can come to market with an AI agent that tells you it's going to work 24/7 and do all these different things. What we've realized is that there's a real human inflection point in it that we had to travel through as a company. We had to travel through it with our clients, and as a result, we have this like group of people inside of Vendoroo that are the human support for the AI transition that'll help you, first of all, get your processes right so that you don't scale chaos and do it for you, not just you do it yourself. Help you refine edge cases so you can actually reach true automation, and then help you through this inflection point of like when the work changes, what do your team need to do, because we've been there for it, right? So if you've been wanting to try AI but you needed it to be like more vetted, need the process, the experience to feel more vetted, more consistent for your team, nobody's been doing this longer for Vendoroo. We've built around this. Our human strategy is the reason why we're going to succeed, and it's because we've been doing the tech thing longer than everybody else building agents. So it is now time to check this thing out. If you want to feel truly supported, come check out vendoroo.ai and let us help you transition into this new future.
No, I worked in that department at Apple.
Yeah.
And it was a challenging role. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
People really get upset about lost $2,500, $3,000 machines. But on top of that, it was a really cool work environment. It's like we always had the lights off and try to like keep it very zen because you're dealing with all these angry people all the
Escalated
time.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. What was the training like for that?
Long. You to get into the escalations section, you first had to go through like frontline, and then you had to go through a special department called MCO, where you review orders that like the person had called in more than twice. And then after that, you have to do like another 6-week training, and then you do shadowing, and then somebody shadows you, and then you finally get your own phone line. So
how is that different from a property manager's training right now?
aside from timeline, there's not much different.
Yeah. When you say that, and again, like I'm not living inside of your business and another property management business, I see it already formed. But I would assume that the majority of the training goes into like what to route where, how to make decisions on this and that. Like, is there any actual training on how to de-escalate? Like, at what point does the actual like bedside manner training start to kick in property management?
So we're a special breed. We don't have really staff turnover. If something gets escalated, like if it's a security deposit issue, we have the tenant fill out a form. It gets reviewed by a neutral third party, which is another employee in our office that's not involved with property management. And then the results are the results. If something is with an owner, it usually ends up on Kyle's desk. But and that's one of the things that we really tried when we do have to hire somebody new, we make sure that they have significant experience in customer service based roles already.
Yep.
And if it's not going to work out, we can pretty much tell that right off the bat. One of our employees is amazing. She can get through the hardest conversations simply because of her accent. She is from Mississippi, and everybody loves her, and she loves to talk, and she can talk anybody off a ledge. She can push people to the ledge too, but I have seen her talk some people down from some really tough situations, and it's always, I always love listening to that kind of stuff, just because it's really interesting to listen to the way that she talks to her clients and tenants, and then the way that she handles them when they are upset.
Yeah, I would say that whatever that magic is what the next world of training is going to look like. Right? Like it's going to be all that, right? Like the knowing the difference between when to send out a plumber or when to send out a handyman part of it is going to be greatly reduced, right? Like because the AI already knows that part, right? Like let's be honest, right? Like the triage troubleshooting piece in maintenance has been the first thing that everybody kind of like solved in this world. And even if you don't have the answer to that, the AI can give you the answer to that really, really quickly. I think that's where it's headed. It's like the training on crucial conversations and and managing conflict and reading Chris Voss's Never Split the Difference is going to be like right, like hostage negotiator books are going to be it's going to be the new training. That's man hilarious. I really think that's it, because that's what we're seeing, right? Like what we're seeing is that like once the and we're seeing it kind of like in all routes, right? Because our human department, we have an offer where those expert maintenance coordinators that have graduated through all of this stuff can be kind of like your outsourced maintenance coordinator. But we also have other offers where those people are just kind of like the ones that are managing your team through it, like helping you figure it out, right? Like AI coaches. So whether it's how to have a tough conversation with an owner or a resident to de-escalate him, or it's how to have a tough conversation with a property manager, because based on, like kind of like your third party that you send it to, and then the answer is the answer, the AI is doing that for people right now, right? Like the AI is doing it for us, and it's not always the answer that you want, right? Like I think we had a client where, man, what was the story? There was like a leaking tub. The resident, triaged it, decided it wasn't an emergency because the resident indicated, no, I cut off the water, it's under control, like it's fine. And then the resident left, and then when they came back, they were wrong about like that the tub was right. So the AI didn't make it an emergency when it was deemed not an emergency.
Right.
And we came back, and it ended up being like a big expense for an owner. That was a really tough conversation for one of the biggest clients. Whatever, that would have still gone to the same, like your employee. If they would have not called that an emergency, would have still not been an emergency, right? Like you couldn't have fired them for it.
So like there's AI error, but there's also human error.
There's always going to be the human error, and there's always going to be like that judge piece. So it's like error is not going away.
Right.
Right? Like the perfect decision making might be right, but there's always going to be like the context changes, and all of a sudden you look back and that decision wasn't the perfect decision because now there's new context.
So do y'all have data on, like, it would be an interesting study, at least if you haven't done it yet, but take one of your clients and have them audit like how many times or how much money human error caused them before they brought on Vendoroo.
Yeah.
And then do the same going forward with Vendoroo and see how, same time period before and after Vendoroo was brought on to see what the financial
implications are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think that that's probably pretty easy to do in the sense of, like, right now, when we onboard people, what we do is run an agent through their property management system, and then we know what their standard operating policies are and their procedure and their their procedures and policies, whatever, and then we compare the behavior of how you've been acting to your current policies, and we're like, you want to right size that, or right, and like boom, we can right size that.
Yeah.
So I would say that probably has that information in it, right? Like what are the probably has those, maybe the cost piece of it would be something to add to it.
Yeah, but just looking at like the margin of error.
Yeah.
Would be interesting.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out like the stats that we do have. Like I know that we have this full money back guarantee policy of if the AI made the wrong decision, we reimburse for that decision that was made. And in something like it's like an outstanding number. Like it's something in like, I don't want to misspeak on content, right? but it's something like we've done something in the realm of like, I don't know, like $30 million in maintenance expenses that we've like pushed through and like been approvals of and whatever, and we have reimbursed something like $20,000. Right, like it's not like it's like less than, it's definitely less than like 1% kind of thing, and I know that our vendor accuracy right now is at 99.9% of like the right vendors there to handle the right thing at all times.
Well, y'all did really well on the propertymanagement.com.
Yeah.
What is it, VPI? I think it's
VPI. Yeah, I was pleasantly impressed to see our name right above Second Nature. That is not the narrative in the industry,
right?
Yeah. That was wild. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. It's tough to. I'm really glad those guys are doing what they're doing. Right. Like I was just on the phone with Chuck yesterday actually, and I'm like, hey, I really believe in what you guys are doing. It is really tough for, in a place where there is such an echo chamber and such like a concentrated number of opinions that permeate through like a market. It's hard to not treat it like a popularity contest.
Yes, very much.
And for someone to be able to decouple the popularity, pre-existing relationship thing, whoever's trauma you triggered thing, part of it, to the actual performance of what customers say and the benefit that they receive to the value, and like an externalized NPS score, I think it's phenomenal, man.
Yeah.
I think they're doing the Lord's work.
I'm actually sitting on a panel about AI with Chuck and Matt this week.
Cool.
So in Nashville.
That's right, at Sales Elevate.
Yeah.
What do you think that conversation is going to be like? Like, what are you, like, you're talking about kind of like searchability and findability on AI?
Well, we're just talking about what AI is shifting in the industry as a whole. Both Matt and I have an affinity for SEO, so it'll lean heavily into marketing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad that the conference got delayed, because I feel like in the last month there has been so much shift with AI in our industry.
What's around your area?
Well, like not just in SEO, but like with people using Claude and OpenClaw.
Yeah.
That wasn't happening a month ago. Not in our world, at least.
Correct.
And so now that people have a better understanding of how it all works, I think we're going to have a lot more to talk about, and it's going to be a very fun conversation.
What has shifted the most in the last month in your expertise of the marketing side of things?
Speed.
Tell me more.
The amount of work that we can get done has eliminated the need for one of our RTMs.
Okay.
We have been able to build tools that just make it so much easier, because everything is integrated through an MCP connection, we can pull the reports and spit out a beautiful presentation with the click of a button now. And before, you'd have to pull the report from 4 different places, because we don't use just one system. We use, depending on what platform the website is built on, we'll use 3 or 4 different reports before we build out a strategy plan for somebody, for a client. And before, we were still having to manually feed the data into the LLM so that it would put it all together in a nice, pretty laid out way, and then import it into Gamma. Now we press the button on the dashboard, it pulls the reports from all the places it needs to pull the report, and then it spits out the Gamma. And instead, and I don't have to do that now. Like, it was a tedious process when we first launched just last year, and in the last month we've been able to build this tool that saves us all of this manual labor. Yeah. We obviously go back through and make sure things line up and everything, but
the human discernment.
Right. But, and like technical, I just this morning, I came across, one of our clients has 702 URLs that need to be redirected. And so instead of manually entering those redirects into their platform, I uploaded the list of URLs that need to be redirected, had it categorize them, identify the page that needs to be redirected to, and then it built out an agent that's going to go into their system and put it in the 702 redirects for me.
That's wild.
So I can go and play at Penstack with my kids.
Yeah. That's crazy. Listen, since we are in this moment, right? Like, there is, it's kind of what I was telling you in the car, right? Like, it's called like the Roski curve of technological, like, adoption through like a transformation thing, where as time goes on, there's very few contenders in the category. As the category gets validated, people like come in. At a certain point, like, it feels like whoever's the category leader feels like, oh, they've lost it because now all these people are here and it's going to go away. And then that's like the peak of amount of competition. And then somebody establishes a dominant design, and then, that becomes adopted by the market. People start to fall off, and it continues, right? So we're in that inflection point right now as far as the AI, at the very least, maintenance space of property management. And that means for us, it's time to shift from like, hey, this is what's possible, to now what's possible because now everybody's freaking doing it. And it's time to understand what's right, right? Like, what is the right way to do this for you? So I have a bunch of like messaging that I need to go through, like across all of our stuff, in order to like reposition around the authority in the space who has been natively building agents and helping people through this like human to agent inflection point, and like how you succeed with this, because we have the most experience with actually doing that.
Well, so, like, you've got a great, EAT is your expertise, experience, authority, and trust, and you're ahead of everybody else because you've been preaching this, and people know what Vendoroo is. And so I think that now that people have more accessibility to these tools, they better understand how they work, and that you've been talking about it for a year now really gives you a leg up for credibility to be able to guide people through this next boom.
I appreciate it, right? So there's 2 ways to look at that. And I'm saying this, I wasn't saying this to like bring like, let's talk about why Vendoroo is awesome. I just mean like, I'm going to have to go through and do what you just said, of like updating all these different things across our digital assets, right? So like, I find a lot of great hope, and at some point we will also rebrand, because we're gonna like get away from the word vendor and just roo, and because we're moving beyond things like that, right? Like, so it doesn't, like in the multifamily space, the vendor word is not like they're techs,
right?
And we're growing in that space as well, right? So there's going to be a lot of that like stuff. To your point, like for me, technically what it looks like. For you, it's like updating links and stuff like that. For me, it's everything that you just said makes sense to me, right? Like, yeah, we've been doing it for a year, like a year longer than everybody else and whatnot. The other side of that is like, we've been fucking it up for like a year before everybody else is going to fuck it up.
Right? Yes, also that.
So like there's a real, just like that story of like Mark being like, wait a minute, are you guys really a call center? We're like, yeah, like that's not like I now need to go address this idea of like, no, that's actually the strength, not the weakness. Just like, what we were doing a year and whatever people experienced a year ago is going to be a critical component to helping people understand how to like stay in this space. Like we went from a place where we were like churned a lot of people to a place where we're now like under 3% churn. So we have this thing figured out. And our onboarding is not a typical onboarding. Our onboarding is more like, it's like the combination of like hiring a coach that's going to come in and right size your operations for AI and then deploying it, right? But people, so it's like telling the story in a way of just like, yeah, we now have license to do this because we've made the most mistakes doing this right now, not because like whatever the technology was available to do this, a year ago, right? Like it's just that there's things that people haven't gone through yet that we had to figure out from like ground up as opposed to like software top down initiatives. So like I'm hearing what you're saying and I'm like, okay, cool. So that's what I need to go figure out and build. Or I don't know if that's something that like you can go hire Clearly Digital to like scrub, beyond links and stuff like that before like messaging segments and stuff across different assets. Is that what's coming?
We definitely,
Yeah.
definitely, and Clearly could help alter your content to answer the questions that people are looking for. I mean, that's one of our core products, right?
Yeah.
Our core services. The way that the marketing has changed for us, though, is again, it's just speed. We can create the content so much faster, and we've been training our AI on our voice. We have voices saved, we have our assets saved so that it knows our branding style, it knows the type of content that we want to put out. We've come across some really great strategies with Google that we can implement very, very easily now to make your web footprint much, much larger, much, much faster. So those backlinks, we have an amazing backlink strategy now, and it's all a tool that's been built with AI, but it's legitimate and it works. And so it's really exciting.
That's cool. What do you think? We're like a month away from broker owner, right? Like we're like 7 weeks away from broker owner. I know this because I have a million things to do.
Same.
Yeah, same, right? Are you guys buying a booth at broker owner?
No, we're speaking though.
Of course. Nice. That's cool. Last broker owner, it was, that's kind of like when we came out and launched this idea of agents and we had this like AI pavilion and it was really, really awesome. What do you think is going to be different about this broker owner from last broker owner from the standpoint of like options in the market? Like I feel like it's only
like in the vendor hall?
Yeah, in the vendor hall, in like in the conversations at broker owner.
Well, we kind of talked about this a little bit the other day about how people are realizing that they can build their own tools.
Yes.
And so are we going to come up on a period of like really crappy products and really crappy services because they built it in instead of doom scrolling, their doom agent building? I hope that's not the case. And I don't think that they will be short-lived. I know that's not going to be the case at broker owner because vendor space was very limited at this conference, but there is it's so funny because I already felt like I was tired of talking about AI like at conferences. Yeah. But it's taken such a big shift this year that I think that it's going to once again dominate all the conversations.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. The whole like there is I see like an extreme benefit in having personal agency, right? Like I think my life is guided by that. So to me, the business owner that's like, oh, now I can do a lot of this stuff myself is a very serious question that they should ask themselves. Like what are the things you want to go out and build for yourself? And I would say like the more basic stuff, like absolutely. I wonder where the line is, right? Like there's like I think there will be some language around this, right? Like there is going to be like some language around like professionally managed agents versus like personally built agents. And then there's going to be everything in between from personally built agents that then gets like, productized for other people to use. There's going to be professionally built agents, but it was built by people that don't necessarily only build agents, right? If you ask me, and obviously this is going to be my position, like there's a huge difference between a company that all they do is figure out how to build agents and they work with the best engineers across the world versus like a company that builds software and has also built agents and everybody works in like one place in America versus right, like there's like versus somebody that's like building it in their office and doing what they're doing, right? Like, and I think all of them have a place. Like I think there's going to be this like massive stratification of like how you solve the problem, and that is what I mean by this Roski curve,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Well, and I think
yeah.
that the companies that are leading our industry right now really need to get their game tight, because we are going to have new options come into the market space,
100%.
and it may be better. One thing that I think that a lot of people don't realize that they're messing with a lot of the times is security. There's a lot of permissions you're giving out when you pass out those API keys and you connect everything. And if you're connecting stuff to your property management software, you're connecting people's social security numbers
Yep.
and their contact information, which, I mean, contact information is publicly available anyways, but it's people need to build with caution. And that's, to me, when you're looking at products like PMS systems, you need to hire the professionals, because Joe Schmo in his office that built a glorified spreadsheet but gave permission to AWS and Google and everything to access all of their data, there's real risk that comes with it.
100%.
And maybe you do need that cybersecurity policy after all.
Yeah. We had to go through that about a year ago, right? Like the SOC 2 compliance thing and everything that you had to go through was something that we really had to get our ducks in a row before we could break into like what we call the enterprise market at all, right? Like once you're dealing with these like companies that have, thousands of doors and integrating into their Salesforce and, like all these different things, that is no longer just a beautifully created API like Landmine has that, like allows you to plug in, but like these bigger ones, that was a whole journey for us too, So I agree. I didn't really understand what it meant back then. Now, now I'm like, oh, okay, I see. I see what's going on here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the whole learning curve that we're all going to go through. And I think on the other side of all that learning curve is this concept of a dominant design that I keep referring to. And it's going to be like, I don't think that there's going to be like one dominant design for agentic AI in property management. I think it'll probably be a dominant design per category of property management, right? Like I think the dominant design for maintenance is going to be different than the dominant design for leasing, which is going to be different than the dominant design for just a voice receptionist. That's just like a phone tree, right? Like and then everything in between, right? So like I think a lot of people keep asking us, why don't you build out the maintenance thing? And then there's like all this other stuff on like billing that you can do. And I'm like, dude, I don't think you understand how hard the maintenance thing is. I think you understand how hard maintenance is. I don't think you understand how like far it is from like really figuring out what the right way to do the maintenance thing with agentic AI is. And I have to assume that there's all these other places that have, if not exactly as many nuances, plenty of nuances that we haven't even thought about if we were going to go enter that space.
Yeah.
So like whatever Rent Engine is doing on like the leasing front, I'm sure they're finding a whole bunch of stuff that like once you start peeling it out, what that transition point and that's a landmine of risk, right, as well.
Absolutely.
And laws and stuff like that, right? Like I wouldn't want to go try to eat those people's lunch, like but they're obviously creating a great product from everything I can see. So yeah, man, it's an interesting time.
It definitely is.
Interesting times. All right, buddy. Well, it's a good catch up.
Yeah.